The escape pod screamed through atmosphere like a dying star, its heat shields glowing white-hot against the caustic clouds. Inside, Anna gripped her harness while David, her Zentara co-pilot, cycled through his species' prayer mantras, a clicking, chittering sound that normally soothed her. Today, it just reminded her how badly their survey mission had gone wrong. Hull integrity at 40%, David's translator crackled. His four compound eyes reflected the warning lights in a kaleidoscope of amber. Anna, we need to abort atmospheric entry. Abort to where? She shot back, fingers dancing across the failing controls. The Meridian is debris. We're the only lifeboat that made it out before the Cascade failure. The planet below was designated KX4427b in the charts, a rocky world with a toxic atmosphere, sulfuric acid rain, and surface temperatures that could melt lead in the daylight zones. The Galactic Survey Corps had flagged it as uninhabitable 3 decades ago. Now it was their only hope. Brace, Anna shouted. The pod hit hard. Metal shrieked against volcanic rock. Anna's vision went white, then black, then red as emergency systems flooded the cabin with oxygen-rich air. When her hearing returned, she heard the hiss of the hull breach sealant and David's labored breathing. Status, she croaked. Alive. His mandibles clicked in what she'd learned was his species' equivalent of bitter laughter, against all statistical probability. Anna unstrapped and checked their supplies. 2 weeks of rations, a portable habitat dome rated for Class 3 hostile environments, water reclamation unit, and a rescue beacon that would take at least 40 days for any ship to reach, assuming anyone picked up the signal. She pulled up the external cameras. The landscape looked like something from humanity's ancient visions of hell. Rivers of molten sulfur carved through black volcanic plains. The sky roiled with clouds the color of gangrene, and the rain that hammered their hull hissed like serpents where it touched the superheated rock. So, Anna said, studying the readouts with the calm that had made her a legend in the Survey Corps, where should we set up camp? David's 4 eyes swiveled to stare at her. His translator remained silent for a long moment, as if the AI couldn't quite process what it had heard. Anna, this world has an atmospheric pH of 1.2. The surface temperature in this region is 267 degrees Celsius. The air is composed primarily of sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide with trace amounts of hydrogen sulfide. There is no liquid water, no organic chemistry, no shelter. His carapace darkened, a Zentara expression of profound distress. We cannot set up camp. We can only wait here until our pod's life support fails and we die. That sounds defeatist, Anna replied, already pulling up geological surveys. Look, there's a crater formation about 2 kilometers northeast. See how the thermal signature drops in the center. It's shielded from direct sunlight, and the walls would protect us from the worst of the wind. Sulfur flow patterns suggest there's stable bedrock underneath. Protected from wind. David's voice rose to a pitch that cracked his translator. Anna, the wind is moving at 340 kilometers per hour and carrying suspended droplets of sulfuric acid. So we need to move fast. She was already suiting up in her EVA gear, checking the seals twice. The suit was rated for exactly the kind of nightmare conditions outside. Humanity had learned to build for the worst after the Venus colonies. We've got the portable habitat. Power cells are good for 6 months if we're conservative. The real problem is going to be water. The real problem, David said, his voice hollow, is that we are on a planet that is actively trying to kill us. My species surveyed this world. We have extensive data. Every model agrees. Complex life cannot exist here. Survival is not possible. Anna paused at the airlock, meeting his compound gaze. David, my friend, humans come from a planet that has boiled us with volcanoes, frozen us in ice ages, poisoned us with plagues, and tried to starve us during every drought. We're persistently bad at accepting when we're supposed to die. She grinned. Besides, you're looking at this all wrong. This isn't a nightmare world, it's just unoptimized. Unoptimized, David repeated flatly. Sure, needs some work, but it's got bones. Geothermal energy everywhere we look, that's free power. Sulfur compounds we can process into industrial materials. And see this, she pointed to a spectrographic reading. The deeper rock strata shows water ice deposits, probably a kilometer down. This place used to have oceans before the runaway greenhouse effect took over. Used to, billions of years ago. So, my ancestors used to be aquatic. Change happens. She cycled the airlock. You coming, or should I set up camp by myself? David stared at her for another moment, then began checking his own suit seals with his multiple limbs. When we die horribly in the next few hours, I want the record to show that I protested this insanity. Duly noted. The surface of KX-442-7B was worse than the cameras suggested. The ground radiated heat through their boot soles, even through the insulation. The sky churned with chemical storms that would have been beautiful if they weren't deadly. The wind hit them like a physical force, and Anna had to maglock her boots to stay upright. They dragged the habitat pod between them, fighting for every meter. Twice, acidic rain forced them to take shelter behind rock formations while their suits' outer layers slowly dissolved. Anna burned through 3 self-repair patches before they'd made half a kilometer. This is impossible, David transmitted over their private channel. Funny, Anna grunted, pulling them forward another meter. I'm doing it anyway. It took 4 hours to reach the crater. By the time they descended into its sheltered center, Anna's suit was reading critical damage in 6 places, and David had lost the use of one manipulator arm when acid burned through a joint seal. But the crater was everything Anna had hoped. The walls blocked the worst of the wind. Temperature was a relatively balmy 180 degrees Celsius, hot but manageable. There was even a rocky overhang that provided additional shelter. Anna deployed the habitat dome with practiced efficiency. The smart material expanded, anchored itself to the rock, and began cycling its internal atmosphere. 20 minutes later, they stumbled inside and collapsed. We made it, Anna said, stripping off her damaged suit. We transported ourselves from one death trap to a slightly more comfortable death trap. But David was already running diagnostics on their equipment, his natural efficiency overriding his despair. Over the next several days, Anna proved why humans had a reputation across the galaxy as the species that simply refused to quit. She rigged a thermal converter to the volcanic vents beneath the crater, giving them unlimited power. She processed sulfur compounds into sealant to repair their suits. She even jury-rigged a water extractor by tapping into the deep ice deposits, a process that involved drilling through solid rock with improvised equipment and nearly getting both of them killed twice. This violates 17 safety protocols, David observed as Anna welded together pieces of their escape pod to create a crude mining laser. Probably more like 23, Anna agreed cheerfully, but it'll work. It did work. Water, precious water, began trickling into their storage tanks. David watched it flow with something like religious awe. In all the surveys my species conducted, we never considered, we never thought. That's because you were trying to find worlds that were already perfect, Anna said. Humans gave up on perfect a long time ago. We learned to make do. She looked out through the habitat's viewport at the hellscape beyond. My ancestors survived in deserts where water was scarce, in Arctic wastes where the cold could kill in minutes, in the thin air of mountain peaks. They didn't survive because the environment was kind. They survived because they were stubborn. Stubborn, David clicked thoughtfully. My species has a concept, Kalshek. It means wisdom to recognize the impossible. It is considered a virtue. Humans have a different concept, Anna replied. We call it being too dumb to quit, also considered a virtue depending on the context. The rescue ship arrived 36 days later. By then, Anna and David had established a stable camp with power, water, food production from processed atmospheric compounds, and even a small greenhouse where Anna was attempting to grow lichen in processed local soil. The Zentarak captain who retrieved them listened to their report in stunned silence. "You survived," she clicked, "on KX-4427B. "We did better than survive," Anna said proudly. "We established a viable habitat. With some investment, this could be a mining colony, the sulfur alone." "Absolutely not," the captain interrupted. "This world is classified as uninhabitable. The risk assessment is wrong," David interjected quietly. Both Anna and the captain stared at him. He straightened his carapace. "The human is correct. We were looking for worlds that would accommodate us. We never considered that we might adapt the world instead, or adapt ourselves to it." Anna smiled. "See, he gets it." The captain's mandibles worked in agitation. "This is highly irregular. I will need to file a complete report. The Galactic Survey Corps will need to reevaluate our entire classification system. The implications are that the galaxy just got a lot bigger," Anna finished. "All those uninhabitable worlds, maybe they just need the right tenants, preferably ones too stubborn to take no for an answer." As their shuttle lifted off from the nightmare world, David looked back at their crater camp, still functioning perfectly in conditions that should have killed them a dozen times over. "Anna," he said quietly, "how did you know we would survive?" She was quiet for a moment, watching the toxic clouds fall away beneath them. "I didn't, but I knew that if we didn't try, we'd definitely die. And humans have this weird quirk. We're really, really bad at accepting definitely. We always think there's a chance." She grinned at him. "Turns out sometimes we're right." David's translator hummed with something that might have been laughter. "Remind me never to call any world impossible again. Not when there might be a human around to prove me wrong." "Smart," Anna agreed. "Very smart." Behind them, in a crater on an impossible world, a small dome continued to pulse with life, a testament to the most dangerous words in the galaxy. "Where should we set up camp?" And